Hello, my name is Peter Parf. Welcome to the new Brit Workshop. In this video, I'm going to take you through step by step how to use the UJK Parf guide system. And in particular, today we're going to be making my brand new track saw cutting station, which you see here now. It replaces the old one, which you might be able to see behind me. Now the concept is very simple. Using these core components, the two Parf sticks and these 3mm accessories from the Parf guide system, we're going to create a pattern of 3mm holes, which the rows and the columns are exactly at right angles, and the distance between the centres is 96mm. And for this part of the process, we'll need these tools, a drill and a pair of clamps. And then, using these core components, the 20mm drill guide and the 20mm drill bit, plus these additional items which are not part of the kit, a drill and a pair of the small Veritas Dogs, we're going to enlarge the 3mm holes up to 20mm. But let's just have a quick look at the geometry that's behind this. Do you remember that nice Mr. Pythagoras taught us that if you have a 3, 4, 5 triangle, then the angle between the sides, which have got lengths of 3 and 4, will be a right angle. Now, the same is true if you double up those numbers. So a 6, 8, 10 triangle also has a right angle as shown. And it's these figures, 6, 8 and 10, that we'll be using all the time with the Parf guide system. Now imagine we had 3 Parf sticks and we arranged them as shown. We'd then create our 6, 8, 10 triangle, but we've only got 2 Parf sticks. So this is what we do. We can place one Parf stick along this top edge, and then we can clamp it in place. And we're now going to take the 3mm drill bit in our drill, and we're now going to drill through all of these holes. And we're going to use the 3mm guide bush to do this, and it's absolutely essential we use this to try and get these holes as near vertical as possible. Now it's really good practice, wherever possible, to always clamp a Parf stick in place prior to drilling, just in case it moves. And a second thing which I would advise everyone to do is after you've drilled your first hole, stick in one of the 3mm pins. We're going to do the same at the other end. And that gives me a lot of confidence now that even if I accidentally knock a clamp, I'm not going to upset the accuracy of what I'm about to do. Now, it really is a good idea to take care at this stage, because if you do this properly, using clamps and pins and doing your best to keep this as accurate as possible, you will be able to produce near CNC accuracy with your layout of 20mm holes. And we've now got our first few 3mm holes drilled. If I now swing this first Parf stick around, now we're now going to set up the triangle as shown, and we're going to count along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want a pin through the end of this stick and into hole number 6 just here. So we're now going to put a pin in the 10th hole along here and the 8th hole along here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that is 10 there. So do make sure that this pin is through both of the sticks, and it's sitting vertically, and the sticks are on the surface, and now we're going to put a clamp here. To deliberately illustrate what happens when your point here at the end of this rule and the 8th point on this rule is not on your surface. It's not a problem. All we're going to do is make sure that this end is supported, and we're going to count down as before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units, and we're going to line up these two precisely, and with that pin in place we can now clamp here and clamp here, and that is a perfect line up there. My clamps are nice and tight, and so the very first thing I'm now going to do is to drill a hole just here and put a pin in. So I'm happy with that. I can now remove this pin and place it there, and those 2 pins with the 2 clamps are securing this Parf stick in place, which means I can now go ahead and drill these holes. And we're now going to repeat the process, this time using a line down there. And it's exactly the same process. We're using our 6, 8 and 10 triangle. And as soon as I've done that, I'm going to put a pin in. So now I've got the 2 clamps and a pin at either end holding the Parf stick in place. I can now drill the rest of these holes. And now we've got our second column of holes. And it's important now to check to make sure that you're doing things accurately. For example, we could put a pin through this hole here. And if this has been done accurately, the distance between that hole there and this one here should be exactly the same as at the top, and it should go through the end hole here. Now, from where I'm standing, I'm looking straight down at the floor of my workshop, and that is absolutely spot on. So this pin is in, that pin is in, and that ruler is absolutely rock solid. I can do a further check now with that rule held by those 2 pins. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to put this one in here. And I can now do a visual check to make sure that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hole here, and although there's no hole through the board here, I've got the other parts of the rule secured with pins, and I can stick a spare 3mm drill down through here and down through into this Parf stick. And if I put my finger there, you can see that this Parf stick's not moving. That is absolutely perfect. Now it now means I could clamp this in place and drill those holes. Now it's a good idea to think carefully about where you actually need to have holes on a track saw cutting station. My philosophy is as follows. I'm probably always going to have my Parf Dogs along the same line, and so I've got a number of different places I can put them just in case, but certainly this position is standard. And I then put my ordinary bench dogs in a second line here, and that overcomes the occasional problem you get where the body of the saw might hit a Parf Dog. Now there's one thing I've learnt from this experience, and that is there's absolutely no need to have any holes here, because this is the line of the saw kerf, because then that will guarantee that you never accidentally put a dog in a hole along the path of the saw. So I know I want to have holes along here and holes along there at 96mm intervals, so I've drawn a pencil line there, which just reminds me what I'm going to be doing is fixing a Parf stick in place with pin and a pin, clamp and a clamp, and I'm just going to drill a 3mm hole there and there, move on there, and so on. So I then have the 3mm holes in the lines I require here and no more. Now so far we've been drilling holes in a square 960 by 960mm. And there are times like now when you want to extend the holes, and that's what we're about to do. Now let me just say that if you're using a piece of board which is longer than a Parf stick, then you should always try and set the Parf stick up initially in the centre, so that then when you're extending to the left or to the right, you're going to minimise the incremental error that occurs, because the further you try and extend your line of holes, the less accurate things will become. Now in order to extend the line of holes, set the Parf stick up such that it's in the line that you've already created, and use 2 pins and a pair of clamps. One clamp is going to be at this end and one approximately in the middle here. And that's those additional 3 holes done. And I just do the same now at each of the other 3 corners. So that's all of those 4 extension lines done, and I can now complete the 2 lines I've got at the top. Now after a bit of practice, and when you're happy, you'll be able to use the Parf stick with just a pair of pins and no clamps. However, I do recommend that you always use clamps when you're setting out the original square of holes. So we've now finished with the Parf sticks and all the 3mm drilling, and now we're going to move on and do the 20mm drilling. That's to enlarge the selected holes that we wish, and for this we need the 20mm guide, the 20mm drill, and at least 2 of the 3mm pins. We may require, depending on the layout, a pair of the small bench dogs from Veritas. Well, that's the end of the first part. Please watch part 2 to see how we drill out all of the 20mm holes. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.